Imagine standing in front of some of the most amazing places on Earth, where every corner feels like a new discovery. From breathtaking mountains to towering waterfalls, these spots remind us how wild and beautiful our planet really is. Some places feel almost unreal, like they were pulled straight out of a dream. Others are so full of history and culture that you can feel the stories in the air. Let's take a trip together to see the most amazing places in the world. Tingui Rouge lies in a semi-arid region of northern Madagascar, about 15 miles from the nearest paved road, and visitors must use high-clearance vehicles on rough clay tracks that often become impassable in the rainy season. Thousands of red-orange stone spires average almost 10 feet tall, created as iron-rich laterite erodes and leaves a hard core that changes color with shifting sunlight. Geological surveys show the ancient alluvial plateau has eroded for thousands of years, but the spires became prominent only after a major flood in 1956, and each wet season carves fresh shapes. In 2010, a research team accidentally broke dozens of pinnacles while moving equipment, prompting authorities to ban touching the formations and to limit visitor numbers to protect the site. What intrigues travelers is that the landscape is alive. Every year after the rains, new spires emerge, while older ones crumble naturally, revealing rapid erosion within an area of only a few acres. Socorro is isolated in the Pacific Ocean, about 373 miles west of mainland Mexico, and the offshore voyage by boat usually takes from 30 to 36 hours. The island holds only a small naval base and a short airstrip with no civilian lodging or medical facility. It is a shield volcano whose last recorded eruption in 1993 released floating pumice and confirmed that magma activity persists. Since 2017, Socorro has been part of a marine national park, and every visitor must obtain a permit from CONANP and pay a conservation fee of 388 pesos per day starting in 2025. Tourists may visit only by liveaboard vessels under ranger supervision, and they are forbidden to camp or roam inland to reduce pressure on manta rays and oceanic sharks. The island hosts only a CTDTO infrasound station and a few weather sensors, so geological and biological data remain sparse, and debate continues over whether military goals outweigh scientific research. Skeleton Coast is a long stretch of coastline in northwestern Namibia, located in a dry desert zone completely isolated from main transport networks, and accessible only by specialized off-road vehicles or small aircraft. The landscape is unusual, with wide white sand beaches meeting a cold ocean and thick fog caused by the clash between sea and desert air. For centuries, the area has been known as a ship graveyard, where hundreds of vessels sank due to strong currents and low visibility, leaving rusted wrecks scattered across the sand. One recorded case in 1942 involved the crew of a British ship who had to walk miles through harsh desert terrain, with most not surviving. Besides shipwrecks, many skeletal remains of elephants, whales, and seals are also found in the area, creating a scene that is both dry and haunting. The combination of harsh climate, isolation, and shipwreck relics makes Skeleton Coast one of the most mysterious coastal regions in the world. Lake Abraham is a man-made reservoir surrounded by steep mountains and sparse forest in western Canada. And winter travel is difficult because the lakeside road often freezes and strong winds blow. When temperatures drop to about 5 degrees F, a clear ice layer almost 5 foot thick traps vertical stacks of white methane bubbles that resemble frozen chimneys under the water. The bubbles form as methane from decomposing organic matter rises, and each new cold spell seals another layer. So thousands of disks build up over several weeks. The reservoir was created in the early 1970s after a hydroelectric dam was built, but the frozen bubble scene became widely known only after aerial photographs spread among scientists and photographers. This blend of rare beauty, harsh climate, and potential fire risk makes Lake Abraham one of the most mysterious and study-worthy lakes in North America. Wetland Park in Yangzhou has wide lakes with calm surfaces connected through low-lying areas stretching hundreds of feet, surrounded by grass fields and straight rows of trees. The continuous lake surface is easily visible from a distance, wide enough for visitors to paddle boats between areas without obstruction. Trees along the lake are evenly planted along the water's edge, growing in straight rows with uniform height, forming a clear border that allows visitors to easily observe the boundary between the water surface and the surrounding landscape. Some lake sections have reinforced banks with flat, wide paved paths, convenient for boarding and disembarking boats. Tall rows of trees grow evenly along the lake shore, their leaves turning yellow and red, reflecting directly on the calm water, creating a scene that attracts visitors. Caño Cristales is an isolated river in the Central Highlands of Colombia, not connected by major roads and only accessible by small aircraft, special vehicles, and a forest hike. The river is known for its seasonal color changes, with red, yellow, purple, and green bands stretching for hundreds of feet, caused by the aquatic plant Macarenia clavigera. This plant only grows when water, light, and temperature conditions are all just right for a short period each year, so the phenomenon is visible for only a few weeks. The riverbed lies on the Guyana Shield, a rock formation more than 12,000 years old, which keeps the water clear and free of sediment. The unique colors, strict formation conditions, and extreme sensitivity to climate change have made Caño Cristales one of the most protected freshwater ecosystems in South America. Valle de la Luna is located in an extremely dry desert in northern Chile, where the average annual rainfall is less than 1 millimeter and no public transport system is available, so access requires long travel on dirt roads. The landscape is made of sandstone, salt and clay, compressed and eroded over millions of years, forming deep grooves, cracks, and white salt layers that make the area resemble the moon's surface. Humidity here is nearly zero, and almost no biological life has been clearly recorded, including insects or plants. In the 1960s, NASA chose this area to test equipment because its environment is similar to Mars, including dry light, porous ground, and high radiation. Soil samples show very low water retention and a surface that is extremely brittle and breaks easily under pressure. The lack of life and the stable geological forms have made Valle de la Luna one of the strangest and most studied desert regions in the world. Yakushima Forest is a hyperhumid region all year round, home to ancient cedar trees over 2,000 years old, with some believed to have existed since prehistoric times. Its multi-layered terrain and constantly shifting climate by elevation make large portions of the forest inaccessible to modern equipment. Researchers have observed unusual patterns in moss and microbial distribution in the lower canopy, leading to theories that this site hosts a self-contained micro-ecosystem. Deep core surveys are often interrupted due to sudden loss of signal and unstable instrument performance. Although Japan enforces strict ecological protection laws for this area, there are zones where biological data has never been publicly disclosed or archived. The possible existence of unclassified species in the forest's core cannot be entirely dismissed due to the lack of long-term sampling. Kelimutu consists of 3 crater lakes perched on a high plateau that visitors reach only after a winding mountain drive and a steep hike often shrouded in fog. The 3 lakes sit side by side, yet each one holds a different color that changes unpredictably, shifting from bright blue to deep red or black without a fixed cycle. Scientists believe the color shifts happen when sulfur and iron-rich minerals react with volcanic gases rising through strata created by eruptions thousands of years ago, but current models lack enough data for a complete explanation. In 1965, one lake suddenly turned black and released pungent gas, forcing authorities to close the area temporarily. Yet later, surveys found no clear source for the event. Despite sharing the same volcanic basin, the lakes change hue independently, prompting repeated international sampling campaigns that still yield no consensus answer. The volatile colors and sporadic gas vents make Kelimutu a rare sight that challenges researchers and captivates adventure-minded travelers alike. Shiko. Avenue of the Baobabs sits on an arid plateau in western Madagascar, about 30 miles from the nearest paved road, and reaching it usually requires off-road vehicles that become useless in the rainy season. The site lacks national protection, so visitors arrive freely, and many trunks show carved names, stripped bark, and damage from vehicles parking indiscriminately. Several international groups have installed boundary signs and asked for voluntary fees, but weak legal backing means management depends mostly on local communities with limited resources. Scientific data on the hollow interior and water storage strategy of these baobabs remains scarce because no long-term study has been allowed to core or section the trees. Debate continues over granting formal protected status that could curb physical harm to the trees, yet might cut the open tourism income that local residents rely on. Pamukkale is in western Turkey, far from major cities, and access requires mountain roads that become slick during winter weather. The site features hundreds of bright white limestone terraces stacked along a slope, each forming a shallow pool that reflects blue and silver tones depending on sunlight. The terraces grow as a hot calcium-rich spring flows continuously, depositing a new mineral layer every year, so the surface is always changing and self-renewing. The geology sits on an active fault zone, where pressurized hot groundwater rises, dissolves calcium underground, and precipitates it when exposed to cooler air, creating the natural stepped fields. In 2005, one terrace section suddenly turned brown-gray for several weeks because of an abrupt shift in mineral content, then returned to white without a complete scientific explanation. This rapid self-deposition, temporary color shifts, and living structure make Pamukkale a rare natural geologic laboratory that fascinates researchers and visitors alike. Salar de Tara is over 1,400 feet above sea level in the remote desert of Chile, with no paved roads and only accessible by specialized off-road vehicles over rocky terrain and unmarked tracks. The landscape includes salt lakes, sandstone columns shaped like towers or arches, sand dunes, and wetlands, forming a complex and rare terrain. Sunlight reflecting off the salt surface makes the colors shift constantly during the day, changing from white to yellow or red depending on angle and time. This area was shaped by intense volcanic activity along the Andean belt, leaving behind unstable, ancient rock layers and large temperature swings between day and night. The extreme elevation, harsh climate, ongoing geological shifts, and total absence of human structures makes Salar de Tara one of the most unusual and hard-to-explain terrains in South America. Lake Natron is one of the most corrosive water bodies on Earth, where high surface temperatures, extreme alkalinity, and oversaturated salt levels create chemical conditions capable of mineralizing organisms within hours. While photographs of petrified animals along the shore are well known, studying the central region of the lake is nearly impossible, as unmanned aerial vehicles often malfunction when flying low over the water. Sensors have detected unusual voltage fluctuations within the vapor layer just above the lake, leading to theories of localized ionization that remain unexplained. A sediment sampling project was once halted after crystalline salt layers fractured the drill head before it could reach the lake bed. No official bathymetric maps exist, as multi-layer scanning systems struggle to operate due to unstable signal reflectivity. The combination of extreme chemistry, technical limitations, and missing geological data makes natron not just hazardous, but scientifically unresolved. Chocolate Hills is a geological phenomenon that remains widely debated, with over 1,000 cone-shaped hills spread across a limestone region, and no clear explanation of their origin. Each hill contains distinct mineral compositions according to analysis, dismissing the theory that they were formed at the same time or by the same geological process. Certain zones between the hills were found to have sink-like ground behavior and have since been fully restricted due to unknown subsurface instability. Multiple deep drilling missions were halted after instruments stopped functioning at the rock layer beneath the hills, leaving critical data incomplete. Gravity and magnetic readings in the area have shown irregular variations that continue to divide the scientific community on how the hills may have formed. Although officially recognized as a national landmark, most of the Chocolate Hills area remains preserved and protected from large-scale studies to avoid disrupting an unsolved natural structure. Fly Geyser is located in the vast desert of Nevada, far from any major population center and only accessible through guided tours because the area is privately owned and strictly controlled. The geyser is known for its tall, multi-layered mineral cones that spray water constantly and display bright colors like green, red, and yellow, caused by heat-loving bacteria growing on mineral deposits. Fly Geyser did not form naturally, but appeared after a geothermal well was drilled in 1964, which allowed hot pressurized groundwater to rise and build up mineral formations. Limited data, a partly human origin, and rapid shape changes have made Fly Geyser a subject of debate among geologists. Although located in a region with extensive biological research, Corcovado continues to harbor zones that defy digital resolution. Satellite images of specific areas become distorted or overwritten if viewed beyond a 2-week time frame. This recurring glitch affects all high-resolution imagery regardless of platform, often reverting captured data to a processing error state without explanation. Certain inner zones also display mismatches between terrain maps and real-world topography. Paths clearly recorded by drones have disappeared entirely after minor rainfall, without evidence of erosion or plant overgrowth. In microbial studies, 12 gene samples were recovered that matched no known evolutionary branch, and oddly, each was found only once, never repeated in any subsequent soil or water collection. Corcovado is no longer just a restricted conservation site. It now exhibits traits of an unstable biosystem where data refuses to obey replication, a rare anomaly across all of Central America. The Gobi Desert is not only known for its vast size and harsh climate, but also considered a geological blank zone due to many areas that have never been fully studied. Some massive underground rock structures have been detected by satellite images, but remain unreachable due to rapidly shifting terrain and frequent sandstorms that disrupt navigation systems. During field surveys, several magnetometers recorded unexplained fluctuations that could not be replicated in nearby regions. Deep drilling experiments have been suspended in the past due to unexplained equipment failures. Local authorities and international science bodies continue to enforce strict limitations on independent expeditions to the desert's central areas, leaving many fundamental details about its subsurface structures and ecosystems undisclosed. Pumapunku sits on the harsh Altiplano high plain of Bolivia, surrounded by barren rock desert and thin air that forces visitors to travel for many hours over rough ground by off-road vehicle to reach the site. On the exposed surface lie hundreds of large andesite and diorite blocks, many weighing about 30 ton, scattered like remnants of a collapsed giant structure. The most striking pieces are the H-shaped stones whose straight grooves, drill holes, and perfectly flat right-angle edges are very hard to reproduce with simple pre-metal tools. Archaeologists say the complex was part of the ceremonial core of the Tiwanaku civilization, yet no original record fully explains its construction date, manufacturing process, or intended use. Surveys since the early 20th century measured joint gaps under 1 millimeter or less than 1 inch, sparking fierce debate about whether a highly advanced stoneworking method has been lost. This gap in data fuels theories of vanished engineering or even non-human intervention, turning Pumapunku into a cross-disciplinary research hotspot and an endless topic of scientific discussion. Gumantong Caves is a vast limestone cave system in Malaysia where extreme biological conditions, inaccessible chambers, and unexplained microclimate changes coexist. Some deep cave branches remain unsurveyed due to steep terrain, toxic gases, and sudden high-pressure air bursts with no predictable cycle. Sensors have recorded dangerous levels of CO2 and ammonia at specific points, which later returned to normal with no consistent pattern. Organic material in a state of partial decay has been found deep inside, and the microbes inhabiting it have not been successfully classified using standard methods. Unusual rock formations with natural symmetrical patterns have been observed in closed-off sections, not accessible to the public. The Malaysian government tightly regulates access, allowing only certified biological and geological teams to explore designated zones. Bhangar Fort is an ancient site in Rajasthan, where the Indian government strictly limits visiting hours and bans all activity after sunset. Though no supernatural claims have been scientifically confirmed, instruments measuring radiation, temperature, and magnetism have recorded irregular fluctuations at the fort's core. Several architectural features do not align with period construction styles, including walls with signs of unexplained heat exposure and foundation stones shifted off axis. The subsurface layer beneath the fort remains unsurveyed due to risks of collapse and persistent moisture disrupting electronic equipment. While the site attracts visitors, large sections of Bhangar remain closed and unexplored, with no official explanation provided. Okunoshima is a remote island in western Japan with limited access, as only a few ferry trips are available each day and service is often disrupted by weather conditions. Many concrete ruins of old factories and storage bunkers remain abandoned on the island, now covered in moss and wild vines. In the 1930s, the Japanese military secretly built a poison gas production facility on the island, which was removed from civilian maps during its operation. Today, more than 1,000 wild rabbits live freely across the island, believed to be descendants of animals once used in experiments. The Paris catacombs form a vast, underground network stretching for hundreds of kilometers beneath the city, yet only a small portion is officially documented and open to the public. The rest remains largely unmapped, with many corridors sealed off due to collapses toxic air, or structural instability. In unofficial explorations, several groups have reported disorientation even when using navigation devices, along with magnetic interference and compass drift. Some large chambers discovered deep in the system have no historical records and feature architectural details unlike the rest of the catacombs. Test audio sensors have captured irregular echo patterns at intersections of deeper tunnels, suggesting the Crooked Forest is a small woodland in Poland known for hundreds of pine trees that bend sharply at the base before growing vertically again. To this day, the exact cause of this phenomenon remains unknown, and no historical records clearly document how these trees were shaped. Some theories suggest intentional mechanical intervention during early growth stages for shipbuilding or furniture, while others suspect geomagnetic anomalies or genetic mutation. Although the forest is not large, it was temporarily closed for investigations into drone malfunctions and unstable GPS data in the area. The fact that all trees bend in the same direction only adds to the mystery, as no similar formations exist in nearby woodlands.